Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm E.D. Lewis, and this is E.D. Lewis Reviews. Before we get started, let's go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. And by the end of the video, please like and comment on this video. Please like it if you like the content here, and please leave any comments that are PG, PG-13, or G, nothing above, because that's not nice. So, you may notice that today I'm going a little goth vampire chic, which is very appropriate because this time around I'm going to be reviewing a short story that is in fact vampire related. This time I'm doing a short story, and I haven't done a short story for a while. Not since, wasn't it A Rose for Emily was the last one I did? Well, I was going to do another short story, but unfortunately, some circumstances came up which I kind of felt made it a little inappropriate. I was going to do a short story that I had read, well, I've read a couple different times throughout the years, back in January at the start, after reading The Fall of House of Usher. But after recent circumstances that have arisen, in the world, I felt it inappropriate, or at least in bad taste, so I dropped that short story, and I don't know when I'm going to do it now. But anyway, we're going to do vampires this time. So, this time around, I'm going to do a vampire story called The Vampyre, and that's spelled with a Y instead of an I. The Vampyre, A Tale by John William Polidori. This one is actually, I got out of the book Vampires: Encounters with the Undead, edited and with commentary by David J. Scull, or however you pronounce his name. And this has many short stories in it, some of which I actually plan on doing videos on besides this one. And here's the picture for the vampire. And there's the text. And this book is annotated because it has commentary, and it even talks a little about John William Polidori. This story was written in 1816. It was part of the competition between Mary Shelley, Percy Shelley, Lord Byron, and John Polidori. Of course, the one that won that little competition was Mary Shelley's story, which eventually she wrote into the book Frankenstein, which was published the year before this short story was, in 1818. So this was published in 1819. Excuse me. Which ironically, John Polidori actually died pretty young, though. He actually died just a couple years after this story was published. That's very unfortunate. I actually didn't know that till just now, because I really didn't read much of this stuff. I just kind of glimpsed it over, and wow. But this story that he has written is one of the earliest vampire tales. It is gothic horror, as I do, gothic reviews, and it is male gothic. Again, focusing on male characters mostly, which means they emphasize the horror more. And I already mentioned that and that. I had a couple things. Oh, yes, like I said, it is one of the earliest vampire literary tales. There are, I think, a couple others. But I would put up there as one of the most important, along with Carmilla, Varney the Vampire, which is a very long Penny Dreadful, and I'll eventually talk about that one. That's, yeah, not for today. Too long for right now, and who knows, that might have to span more videos, or maybe it'll just be one quick one, just overviewing, the general tone or something. I don't know yet. And of course, Bram Stoker's immortal novel, Dracula, which, I can't, well, I'm not going to talk about that. That I'd talk more about when I would do Dracula and do Varney the Vampire and Carmilla. Which would be an interesting little three-way video, or trilogy, rather. That was not very good wording. It'd be more of a trilogy video, I guess. The Vampire trilogy, or the Dracula trilogy, in a way. Ironically, there is one Dracula trilogy of books, which I will not talk about today. Anyway, the story of the vampire, and this is on page 37, if you happen to have this book by any chance. I'm sure it's in a lot of other anthology books too. But this is on page 37. And the story is about a young Englishman named Aubrey who meets this very mysterious man named Lord Ruthven, who has a very peculiar look about him. I don't remember it being described because it's been some weeks since I read this. I don't remember them describing him in great detail, but he had a very peculiar look that was very unique, and everybody thought it was very strange, but yet he enters into British society easily, and everybody talks about him. Almost kind of reminds you a little bit of the Count of Monte Cristo, how he entered into society and everybody was talking about him. Big news he was. So anyway, the man has very odd features and has somehow made his way into British society, like I mentioned. He convinces Aubrey to journey with him to Rome, and on the way to Rome, he becomes involved with this young lady. Aubrey leaves him behind, and he continues on to Greece, where he ends up getting involved with an innkeeper's daughter. And this is where the vampire stuff starts to come in, because the innkeeper's daughter tells him tales and legends of vampires, and how they attack their victims and stuff. And Aubrey is kind of revolted by this whole thing, and he's like, yeah, he doesn't really want to talk about it because he kind of, I think, to me, it seemed like he felt it was very distasteful. Anyway, so Lord Ruthven arrives, and the girl mysteriously dies in ways similar to how she described vampires attacking their victims. And so he's very cut up about that, and so he and Lord Ruthven rejoin their company with each other, and they continue their travels. They're then attacked by bandits, and Lord Ruthven is killed during this. And so before he dies, he makes Aubrey swear that he will not tell about his death or anything about him for a period of up to a year and a day. That's kind of where I want to stop, because I don't want to spoil the story too much for you, because the ending is kind of a big deal. And so, there is much more to the story, because it goes on and tells what happens during that year and a day, and there is a very interesting twist by the end of the book. Or, end of the short story. Sorry, it's not a book. So, this short story is available on Audible. I know that for sure. You can, if you have access to this book, Vampires: Encounters with the Undead, or I'm sure there's lots of other vampire anthology books that have it in there, or I'm pretty sure you can probably get it on Kindle. And right now I know it's hard to get things shipped right now, and so Kindle is pretty much the way to go if you have Kindle. If not, you could wait a while. I'm sure you could even find it probably online, or listen to it on Audible. YouTube has at least one video on it that I know of that you can listen to it being read, so it's another thing. But like this book right here has pictures, like there's a picture of John Polidori right there. And they even show an original page from the original title page from when the story was first published. And this story was also made into several plays, and one of the first on-stage versions was actually in 1820 called The Vampyre, spelled with an I, or The Bride of the Isles. And so there's all kinds of interesting little tidbits in this. And this book has other short stories in it and talks about vampires. But anyway. So that's The Vampyre by John William Polidori, published in 1819. Before we go, I want to say I hope everybody is doing well out there. I hope everybody's being safe, staying home, and only going out when they absolutely need to, for work, for supplies, whatnot. Please do not hoard food. Please do not hoard anything. Only buy what you need. And the supplies that you need, to, be comfortable at home. Please don't hoard anything. Don't hoard all the food. Don't hoard all the water. I know toilet paper's on a big shortage right now. Don't hoard that. So, and be kind to one another and be helpful. And, try to keep a sense of community and diplomacy amongst everybody. Things will get better. It may be sooner than we think. It may be a little bit later than sooner, but things will get better eventually. So just hang in there. And also, before we go, and before I do one other thing, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram on as Ed Lewis, and you can find those things both down below in the description, as well as please visit my Facebook page for my book. It's the official Facebook page of the Curse of Rydge House, and the link for that is down below in the not the comments, but in the description. I'm sorry. Also, please take a look at my author page on Amazon, and the link for that's down below. And I also have Wattpad, so please check me out on Wattpad. There's actually the first chapter of my book on there, but it is the original version of the chapter before I made the changes and revisions, so it's not quite the same. So you can kind of see how I changed it if you've read the book or plan to read my book. And speaking of my book, The Curse of Rydge House is available on paperback and Kindle edition from Amazon. And like I said, right now it's probably a good idea to get books on Kindle if you can, since it's hard to get anything shipped right now. And because there's such a delay and there's such high demand and stuff. So you can check it out on Kindle, or you can order it and wait, or if you get it sooner than it says, that's great too. But my book is available on Kindle edition with a slightly different cover. Still has this picture, still has the same color scheme, still says The Curse of Rydge House, a gothic novel by Ed Lewis. Well, except for the word by. But yeah, rather than that, check it out. It's about a young woman named Brianna Gale who travels to the little town of Ryder's Peak. She has hopes for a new life and the promise of success as she goes to work as the secretary for an elderly businesswoman. She makes friends with her employer's family and catches the eye of the mysterious and gorgeous Quentin Peters. But when tragedy strikes in her new surroundings, she finds herself in mortal danger. Who is stalking about in the desolate halls of the old mansion? Is it human or something preternatural? Brianna must find bravery and courage to solve the mysteries of the house and avoid the dreaded Curse of Rydge House. So, check out my book on Amazon, and the link for that is down below as well. Well, everybody, that's pretty much it for this time around. I'll see you next time on Ed Lewis Reviews. Until then, keep safe, and bye-bye.